Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. Today I wanted to address some complaints I'd heard recently and offer my thoughts. Specifically, my thoughts on isekais. These days, there are so many isekais coming out. It feels like we're being inundated with them. Summer season alone has 9 isekai and 2 reverse isekai anime airing. But is that really a bad thing? Before we get started, please like and subscribe for more content. I recently had a debate with some friends on the topic of too many isekai. I feel that though there are many, it doesn't really bother me. Overall, I enjoy isekai. I'm actively reading well over 100 isekai manga and light novels. I don't see this as a problem though, because to me, isekai isn't a genre, it's a setting. Saying there are too many isekai is like saying there are too many anime that take place in high school. While true, it's kind of a redundant statement. And while many isekai share tropes, the same can be said of high school anime. Isekai is not some new concept. Long before we had Sword Art Online or Escaflowne, Lewis Carroll and Edgar Rice Burroughs were both dabbling in isekai, with their respective works, Alice in Wonderland and John Carter of Mars. I understand the frustration of thinking there are too many isekai, though. When I was in my teens and 20s, I didn't want to watch anime that took place in high school. I thought they were all the same and didn't bother watching them. This negative attitude caused me to miss out on classics like Ouran High School Host Club, Toradora, His and Her Circumstances, Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and Bakemonogatari. I've since matured and gone back and watched most of those, but it's hard finding time to watch classic anime when the recent seasons have been so stacked. I've already made videos about 3 of this summer's upcoming isekai. How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, Drugstore in Another World, and The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated. The first 2 seem like basic isekai on the surface, with people from modern-day Japan ending up in a fantasy world. But Realist Hero is a world-building story that more closely resembles an intricate game of civilization, while Drugstore is a fluffy slice-of-life comedy. And as my video on Jahi explains, it's a reverse isekai, where the titular character is taken out of the demon world and sent to modern-day Japan, and the manga reads more like a sitcom than some epic fantasy story. I'm counting Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S as this season's other reverse isekai. The dragons do come from another world, after all. For those who have never heard of it, it's an adorable and heartwarming comedy about family and love. And dragons. But what about the other isekai anime coming out this summer? The Dungeon of Black Company is a reverse wish fulfillment fantasy, where a lazy NEET is forced to dig in a dungeon with high mortality rates, low pay, and back-breaking hours. It's kind of a parody that plays on the getting sent to another world and life is now worth living trope you see in a lot of other isekai. I've been enjoying the manga, and will be checking out the anime as well. Spirit Chronicles appears to be a pretty standard isekai. Orphaned and homeless kid regains his memories of his previous life, gains powers, rescues a kidnapped princess, gets rewarded with a scholarship to a prestigious school full of nobles. I don't know too much about this one, but from the description I'll at least give one episode a try. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2 is also going to wrap up this summer. Part 1 aired this past winter season, and it was one of the better shows of an extremely stacked season, holding its own against Re:Zero and Mushoku Tensei. While not as serious as those 2 shows, there were some dark moments that contrasted beautifully with the lighter, fluffier moments. Remember, the reason you add salt to a cake is to enhance the sweetness. Yes, Slime Reincarnation is pretty bog-standard isekai that has nothing unique or different going for it. It just plays its tropes extremely well, making every episode enjoyable to watch. The characters are delightful, the plot is simple and easy to follow, the world is realistic while retaining some mystery. Everything fun about isekai fantasy anime, all rolled into one. Speaking of anime with monsters, Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy, is another anime I'm excited to watch. A goddess summons our young main character from Japan to be a hero, and then notices how ugly he is. He's stripped of his title and sent to the edge of the world, surrounded by the other outcasts. Angry at the goddess for summoning him only to reject him, he builds a kingdom of monsters and basically becomes a demon lord with some hot monster waifus. It sounds a bit like Slime Reincarnation, but with some angry, bitter undertones that I think will make it unique and entertaining. Next up, we have the sequel to I'm Standing on a Million Lives. I never watched the first season, I was too busy with other anime and manga at the time. And from the reviews on Mal, I wasn't missing much. It got a 6.43 score overall, and Mal users are notorious for giving middling scores to mediocre anime. I mean, there are far more anime with a score of 8 or higher than there are with a score of 4 or lower. Sunny Boy is a new Madhouse original about a school with 36 kids finding themselves adrift in another dimension. They awaken to supernatural abilities and must learn to survive. It's an anime original, so there's no light novel or manga to read prior to the series starting. I'll be giving it a fair shake, though. And finally, we come to Otome Game, or My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, Season 2. I still need to finish Season 1, but what I saw of it I enjoyed. It's the story about a girl who realizes she's inside of her favorite dating sim, but she's the villain, and she's trying to forestall or stop a bad ending for herself. Now, is that a lot of isekai? Absolutely, but all of them are unique in their own way. We've got parody, slice of life, romance, adventure, sitcoms, horror, world-building, harems, fish-out-of-water, classics, and more to look forward to. Other than the fact that all these anime involve someone going to a new world, there's not really much to tie them together as far as plot or theme. Most of them are vastly different from each other once you get past the initial main character is now in a new world trope. To help drive my point home, let's take a look at all the non-isekai anime airing this summer that take place in a high school, or are about high school kids in modern-day Japan, but don't get isekai'd. The Detective Is Already Dead stars a high school boy with bad luck meeting a detective who drags him along as her assistant. 3 years later she dies, and he tries to return to a normal high school life. However, when a girl who resembles his former boss appears, his life is thrown into chaos. The Honor Student at Magic High School is a spin-off of The Irregular at Magic High School. It follows the events of the original series, but through the eyes of Miyuka Shiba, Tatsuya's younger sister. I'm not sure how tonally different this will be from the original, but if you enjoy Irregular, you'll probably want to check this one out as well. I've already done a video on Girlfriend Girlfriend, but it's another anime based on the works of Hiroyuki. It's an over-the-top harem rom-com that's a blast to read, and I'm hoping the anime captures the magic of the manga. Remake Our Life is a story about a guy who goes back in time 10 years to his high school days after his life falls apart. I'm not sure if Aquatope of White Sand will have any scenes in a high school, but the main character, Kukuru Misakano, is an 18-year-old high school girl. The next season of Idolish 7 also has characters that could still be in high school, with the story being about an all-boys idol group. But whether or not that anime counts, the next season of Higurashi When They Cry absolutely does. So should the next season of Love Live, Kirato Pri-chan, and the next season of Magia Record, the retelling of Madoka Magica. Battle in 5 Seconds After Meeting is a battle royale anime about a bunch of high school kids given mysterious powers and forced to fight against each other. We also have Kekege Shoujo, or Opera Girl, The Curtain Rises, about girls attending an opera school. Finally, we have Remain, an original anime from MAPPA about high school boys playing water polo. All of these anime involve high school students, and most take place at or around a high school. But would you classify them all under the same genre? Of course not. You've got survival horror, magical girls, idol shows, slice of life, harem rom-coms, psychological horror, magical high school girls, and supernatural thrillers. If you're still not convinced, let's take a look at this past spring season. 2 of the most popular anime in spring 2021 were about high school kids and their life at high school. Many of the scenes took place in a high school, and both had a tsundere character who transforms into a cat. But would you honestly put Please Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro and Fruits Basket in the same genre? An anime being an isekai is nothing to be worried about. An isekai is simply a vehicle by which to tell another story. You've got your outsider who may or may not know anything about the world, but by them learning about it, we, the audience, are also able to learn about it. There's no awkward exposition or narration telling us about the world. We're learning about it as our main character does. As more and more isekai get released, both the audience and the characters become more familiar with the concepts and tropes. This is not a bad thing. It's the same with high school anime. Think about how we, as the audience, have all been trained to understand that a high school setting anime will include things like life-defining clubs, an all-powerful student council with a president who stands head and shoulders above the rest of the school, an awkward study session where a boy is in a girl's room for the first time, or vice versa, the main character sitting in the back of the class with a window seat, a beach episode, a complete lack of parents, and at least 2 episodes dedicated to the class school festival. There is a similar checklist that exists for isekai. Is the main character overpowered? Do they have some sort of cheat ability? Is the new world more video game-like or more realistic? Are they an adventurer? A hero? A demon lord? Are the gods helping them or hindering them? Do they have a harem? Is this a shonen, shoujo, seinen, or josei story? Is it horror, slice of life, action-adventure, world-building, comedy, or a bit of everything? The important thing to keep in mind is that it's not just an isekai, because isekai is just the start of the story. The story is what happens after our main character finds themselves in a new world. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, I'm Danon. Huge shout out to my editor, Cute Stuff. She was not expecting to edit a massive video this weekend, but I'm grateful that she did. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, you can reach out to her on Fiverr. Link in the description below. Please leave a comment below on your own thoughts about Isekai, and I'll see you all next time.